Good morning, all. Today we are going to learn a lesson from your Unit 3, that's prose. The lesson name is The Child Who Saved the Forest. So, here we are going to learn about a child who tried to save a big forest because the child was very caring, very kind, and very sympathetic towards the animals and birds in the forest. So, what he did to save the forest? First of all, we should know how important the forests are. The forests provide us many things, especially the oxygen. So, the forests are very important for us, even for the animals and birds. So, now let's see what are the important things about forest and how the child saves the forest. So, let's look at the first paragraph. Prem lived with his parents in a small village near Bandipur forest. He had the good habit of taking an evening walk in the forest. After some days, he became friendly with animals and birds in the forest. So now let's learn what is there in the first paragraph. There was a boy called Prem. He lived with his parents in a small village near Bandipur. So the boy Prem lived with his parents in a small village near Bandipur forest. Bandipur forest is very important forest in Karnataka state. This forest is called as reserved forest. That means the government itself takes care of this forest. There you see thousands of varieties of animals, birds, insects, everything, even the trees and plants and all. That's why the Bandipur forest is well known for. So Prem lived near Bandipur forest in a small village with his parents. He had the good habit of taking an evening walk in the forest. So Prem had a good habit. What was that? Taking an evening walk in the forest, going for a walk in the forest in the evenings. After some days, he became friendly with the animals and birds in the forest. So when he continuously goes for a walk, obviously there are friends made. So what were the friends for Prem? Some animals and birds in the forest. Now let's look at the second paragraph. One day he came home from school looking sad. His mother asked, "What's the matter, Prem?" He replied, "Ma, I have heard that many trees in the forest will be cut down. Where will the animals and birds go if the trees are cut?" One day he returned from school, but he was looking very sad. He was not at all happy, he was looking very unhappy. His mother observed this and asks, "What is the matter, Prem? What happened, Prem? Why are you sad?" He replied, "Ma, I have heard that many trees in the forest will be cut down." So, what Prem heard? He heard that many trees in the forest will be cut down. That means the trees in the forest are going to be cut down by the people. Where will the animals and birds go if the trees are cut? So, he's asking his mother, what he's asking? He's asking that if the trees are cut down in the forest, where the animals and birds go which lives in the forest. So what was his problem? His problem was cutting down of the trees in the forest. He was worried about the birds and animals in the forest. Now let's see the next paragraph. His mother knew that Prem loved trees, birds, animals, and flowers. So she said, "Why don't you go to the forest with your friend Nazreen? Find out what has happened exactly." So his mother knew how he loves the forest, how much he loves the forest, birds, and animals. So she said something. What she said? "Why don't you go to the forest with your friend Nazreen? Better you go to the forest with your friend Nazreen." What's the name of the friend? It's Nazreen. Go and find out what has happened exactly. So, first of all, you should go to the forest with your friend and find out what's the reason for cutting down the trees and really whether the trees will be cut down or not. Now, let's look at the fourth paragraph. Prem took his friend Nazreen with him to the forest. They walked to their most favorite place in the forest. As they sat on the rock and looked around, Hira the deer came sprinting towards them. Now, let's explain the paragraph. Prem took his friend Nazreen with him to the forest. So now Prem, as his mother told, he took his friend Nazreen and both of them went to the forest. They walked to their most favorite place in the forest. So there was a favorite place for Prem. So they went to that place. As they sat on the rock and looked around, Hira, the deer, came sprinting towards him. So what happened now? They went to their favorite place. They sat on the rock over there and looked around. At the time, Hira means it's a deer. Deer came sprinting towards them. Sprinting means bouncing or running. So the Hira, the deer, came running towards the Prem and Nazreen. Let's look at the fifth paragraph. Nazreen asked Prem, "What's the matter? Why is the deer looking sad?" Prem replied that the trees in the forest would soon be cut down, and Hira must have heard about this. Both thought for a while about where these animals would go. Now Nazreen asked something. What she asked Prem? What's the matter? Why is the deer looking sad? So Nazreen observed the deer and she asked why even the deer is looking sad. Prem replied that the trees in that forest would soon be cut down. Then Prem answered her, saying that the trees in the forest will be cut down faster. That's why the deer is very sad. And Hira must have heard about this. Even Hira knew about this beforehand only. She understood what the problem is. Both thought for a while about where the animals would go. So now both of them are worried about the animals' shelters. If the trees are cut down, what may happen to the animals they are worried about? Now let's look at the next paragraph. Then Prem looked at Nazreen and asked, "How can we stop the cutting down of trees?" Nazreen replied, "We will approach the authorities concerned to stop the cutting down of trees." Both of them were very happy and returned to Prem's house. Now let's explain the paragraph. Then Prem looked at Nazreen and asked, "How can we stop the cutting down of trees?" Now Prem is worried about the cutting down of trees and is asking Nazreen, "How can we stop the cutting down of trees?" That means how to prevent the cutting down of trees. trees. Nazreen replied, "We will approach the authorities concerned to stop the cutting down of trees." So what Nazreen said, we will approach the authorities. Authorities means the people who handle these forest matters, who have decided to cut down the trees. So we will speak to them, will stop the cutting down of trees. Both of them are very happy and returned to Prem's house now. So they went back to Prem's house. Now let's look at the seventh paragraph. Prem told his mother about their plan. Prem asked his mother, "But who shall we complain to?" Mother replied, "Of course, to the president of Grama Sabha." Now Prem told his mother about their plan. Now Prem is explaining about their plan to his mother. What's the plan? Somehow the trees to be saved from cutting down. So Prem asked his mother. Now he is asking something to his mother. What he is asking? But who shall we complain to? Whom to complain? Whom to tell our problems? Whom to complain? Mother replied, "Of course, to the president of Grama Sabha." Yes, we have Grama Sabha. That means a local government which will be in the villages. To the president of Gram Sabha, we should complain. Now let's look at the 8th paragraph. Prem wrote a letter to the president of Grama Sabha and requested his parents and their friends to sign on it. They also took signatures of the people in the local community and those residing in nearby villages. Prem sent the letter to the president of Grama Sabha. Very soon, he got a reply from the president of Gram Sabha. Let's explain the 8th paragraph. Prem wrote a letter to the president of Grama Sabha and requested his parents and their friends to sign on it. So now, as per his mother's statement, Prem is writing a letter to president of Grama Sabha and requested all his friends and parents and the villagers to sign on it. So now everyone is signing in it, and people in the local community and those residing in nearby villages also. So the people who are in the villages, nearby villages, from everyone, they are taking the. Prem sent the letter to the president of Grama Sabha. So he took all the signatures from his friends, villagers, nearby villages and all, and he sent the letter to the president of Gram Sabha. Very soon he got a reply from the president of Grama Sabha. So just few days later only he got a reply for his letter from president of Grama Sabha. Let's see what's there in the letter which he received from the president of Grama Sabha. Next paragraph. Dear Prem, we are happy about the love you have shown towards nature. Your request for not cutting down the trees in the forest has been accepted. We have decided not to cut down the trees in the forest. Now the plants, animals, and birds will be safe. You may give this good news to all your friends and villagers. Yours sincerely, Srimati Rukmini Ramaya, President of Gram Sabha. So now let's explain the paragraph. What is there in the letter received by Prem? In the letter, it's started as Dear Prem, we are happy about the love you have shown towards nature. That means the president of Gram Sabha and other people in the Gram Sabha, they are very happy to see that Prem has that much love and affection towards the forest and the other animals and birds and the nature. Your request for not cutting down trees in the forest has been accepted. That means what request he made, that is accepted. That means the trees will not be cut down. We have decided to not to cut down the trees in the forest. Now the plants, animals and birds will be safer. You may give this good news to all your friends and villagers. So what the letter is telling? Now they decided to not to cut the forest at all. Now all the trees, birds, animals will be safer. And even they asked Prem to give this good news to all the people and friends. So that is the letter. At the last, the letter is signed by the President of Gram Sabha, Srimati Rukmini Ramayam. So this was the topic of the letter. Let's look at the 10th paragraph now. That evening, Prem went back to the village and assured the villagers that nothing would happen to the forest and animals. Now, Prem is so happy. So he went back to the village and assured the villagers that nothing would happen to the forest and the animals. So he informed everyone that the forest will not be cut and all the animals, forests, everything will be safer, he said. So in that way, the child Prem saved the forest from being cut down. So this is the topic of the lesson. Now let's find out some question answers part from the textbook. Just look at C1 question on page number 31. Let's find out answer for the questions. First question, where did Prem and his family live? They lived in the village nearby the forest. It's called as Bandipur forest. Second question, why was Prem sad? Prem was sad because he heard that the trees will be cut down in the forest. Let's look at the third question. What did Prem and his friend Nazreen do to solve the problem? Prem and his friend Nazreen went to Gram Sabha and complained about the cutting down of the trees. In that way, they tried to solve the problem. Fourth question, whom did they write the letter to? They wrote a letter to the Gram Sabha president. What was the complaint about? The complaint was about cutting down of the forest and destroying the trees over there. Next question. Who signed the complaint? The complaint was signed by Prem, his friends, his parents, his villagers, and nearby villagers even. What did the president of Gram Sabha write back to Prem? So, the president of Gram Sabha wrote back to Prem saying that his request is considered and no forest will be cut down in future. So, these were the question and answers part. So, now let's look at the next language exercises. Page number 32. Give the plural forms of the following words. First one, deer, deers. Forest, forests. Friend, friends. Authority, authorities. Community, communities. Next, rewrite the following sentences using plural forms of the underlined words. The first question is, where will the animal go if there are no trees? Here, two words are underlined. What we should do? Those underlined words are in singular form. Children, you must be aware of singular and plural forms. So, these sentence and these words, underlined words, are written in singular form. Those words should be changed into plural form. So, how to change them? The first question, where will the animal go if there are no trees? Here, trees already it is in plural form. Only the word animal should be changed. So, how to write the full sentence? Where will the animals go if there are no trees? That's the correct form. Next question is, the deer came sprinting towards him. The answer is, the deers came sprinting towards them. Deers and them. Third question is, I have good habits. Here I is the singular, habits is already in the plural. So you should change only I. That means we have good habits. Instead of I should write we. Fourth question is, the community that lived near the forest signed it. So here you should change both the word community and forest. How to write them? The communities that lived near the forests signed it. Next question is, I appreciate your love for animal and bird. Here I, animal, bird, these three sentences are underlined. Now it should be changed. So how to change them? We appreciate your love for animals and birds. So the question answers part and the grammar part for the day. Thank you very much.